How's it going? Um, so just following up on my video yesterday talking about chemotherapy. I think I got to kind of like why I chose to do chemotherapy. And today I wanted to kind of talk about what it's like. Um, it's quite difficult to describe. I had 5 sessions, and the idea was to have them every 3 weeks. I did the first session on the 9th of August in Brighton Hospital in the cancer centre there. It was very strange for me. The 9th of August, it was exactly 3 years since I'd had a emergency miscarriage in the same hospital, which was a massively traumatic experience for me. So I found it quite kind of like, oh right, 3 years later, I'm there with a little baby, starting chemotherapy on the same day. It was weird. So that was one thing I had to get over. So the first session I went in, they offer you a cold cap, which is this machine that you sit beside, and they give you it's like a jockey's helmet that you put over your head. It's very weird looking. And the idea is that it freezes your head. I can't remember how cold it makes it, but it freezes it to a certain temperature, which means that the chemo can't reach the follicles of your hair. So you're not meant to lose your hair. It doesn't work for everyone. It didn't work for me. I did it the first day. I didn't find it too bad. Some people have to take it off because it's too uncomfortable. I didn't mind. I left it on for the whole time I was in there. But it didn't. My hair fell out afterwards. I'll do another video about my hair falling out later. They gave me FEC-T. It's called FEC-T chemotherapy. If you want the list of the actual drugs, I can email them to people if they need the specifics. I don't have it on me right now. And they lowered the dose after 3 sessions because I had such a good result. So I had like 75% of the dose for my fourth and fifth session. I went into the chemo suite, it's called, and I had the cold cap put on me. I had to have a blood test the day before to check your white blood cells. So every day before you go in for chemo, you have a test on the day before, and then they let you know that morning if you can or can't have chemo, depending on where your white blood cell count is. If it's too low, if it's below than 1, so if it goes down to 0.9 or lower than that, you can't have chemo. They put it in through my hand, through a vein here, and it just took 20 minutes. It was 4 big, massive, really fat vials, like this long. I wish I'd filmed it. I wish I'd photographed it. I was planning to photograph my 6th session, but I didn't have it in the end. It doesn't feel too weird. One of them is red. The epirubicin is a red liquid, so it could made my wee red afterwards. You can choose whether to have steroids beforehand or not, which I chose not to. You can choose whether to have an anti-nausea tablet beforehand and afterwards if you want to. Everyone was quite relaxed. They were all in armchairs. They had this free tea and lots of chocolates being passed around, which really annoyed me because cancer feeds on sugar. And people giving quite bad dietary advice, which I found really shocking, but that's just the nature of it. They try and make it the most pleasant environment they can, and it was something I just had to get through. And for each session, I had to really get all my strength together and my positivity and go in there kind of almost bulgy. Do you know what I mean? Like with a bit of attitude. That's how I got through it. And with each session I did, I got more confident and more kind of whatever, because I just felt that's what I'm like. I have to kind of put on a bit of a front in order to get through something that's really difficult. So I had to get myself into a really positive state of mind, because one of the times I didn't manage to do that and I really suffered afterwards. I found for me chemotherapy affected me most in my head mentally. I had to be really strong. It was very difficult. It was very difficult to do. Each time I went in, I gave them a list of all of the herbs and the supplements and everything I was on, handwritten list, and it was only after the 5th session that they actually inputted it into the computer. No one had actually even read the list, no one had looked at it. There wasn't the support to have an integrated cancer care. They're so busy, they just offer what they can offer, and then they didn't seem interested. Like, I found out afterwards there actually is a pharmacist who's in the hospital, in the cancer centre, who is interested, but no one's communicating with her. So my little list didn't make it down to whoever this person is, which meant that some of the things were overlooked, which I actually felt was quite dangerous in the end, because I got a phone call after my 5th session of chemo, and my white blood cells was dropped down, and they said to stop echinacea, which I had been on for months and months, and it was my main antibiotic. I'm not saying this is the reason I got the massive infection, but it definitely didn't help me, and I just find that really dangerous and quite scary, that the power of herbs and the power of these supplements isn't acknowledged, and that the bad advice is being given. They said to stop echinacea, which you would need to be drinking bucket loads of it in order for it to affect me in the way that they said it was affecting me. But I did anyway, and then I ended up in hospital 6 days later with no white blood cells, a massive infection, everything. And yeah, that wasn't just the echinaceas, because I didn't have echinacea. I'd also refused to do an injection. I think I've talked about this on camera before, but they'd give me a GCSF injection, it's called, that you give to yourself for 10 days after you've had chemo, and it keeps the white blood cell count high. I had done it the previous time, and my blood and alongside bone broth and these Chinese mushrooms called BioBran, which are very expensive, but they're very quick at getting the white blood cell count up high again. And I rose from 0.9 to 59 in a week. Everyone was shocked. They said they'd never seen it happen before. So I thought I had plenty of reserves. So when it came to the next round, I didn't do the injection. I just continued with the BioBran and the bone broth. And that maybe alongside not having the echinacea, and I don't know, just bad luck, but yeah, I ended up with no white blood cells on the 10th of December. Like, overnight I went down to 0 and I nearly died. I had to go into hospital. I had a massive infection. I will talk about that more in another video. I realise this video is quite long now, but yeah, I do have a lot to say, and I hope this is interesting to people. I hope it will help you if you're facing these decisions. I hope it will help you if you're supporting someone who's facing these decisions. The most important thing I'd say is just to get as much advice and care as you can, to know that you always have time, to know that, ultimately whatever you choose, you have to really believe in, and that's how it's going to heal you. And if you need, just find the right people to talk to, find the right people to support you to make your decision, and find peace with your decision, and forgive yourself for any bad decisions that you make. Because when you've got cancer, life moves too quickly to have regrets. I'll have that luxury maybe in a couple of years. At the moment, I just have to make the decisions and trust. It's all the right decision. Everything is perfect, and everything is meant to be. Thank you. Take care.